My name is Kelton Stewart. I'm from Arlington, Texas, and currently work in Indiana University School of Dentistry or Department of Orthodontics in Indiana. I was inspired by my orthodontist. Actually, I had some pretty jacked up teeth when I was younger. And so he really showed me the possibility of improving oneself and really impacting the community in a positive way. And that left a lasting mark on me. And I want to do the same thing. It's a way to connect with our communities and make lasting impacts on the way people think about themselves and interact with others. So it's a wonderful profession, great legacy and history. I think we do a wonderful job of enhancing our communities. I think it's an opportunity for self-improvement. I think it's the way that it's seen now. So a great opportunity to connect and make oneself better. I am an adrenaline junkie, so I love to do things where I get my heart racing. So skydiving, driving in fast cars, riding motorcycles, that type of thing. Um, I'd say a non-compliant patient, probably. So just where they're not really compliant, everything goes. That would be one. I would say interdisciplinary care is the thing I love the most, but you can't do what you need to do alone. And so you have to rely on our colleagues, so oral surgery or perio or whoever. And so that could pose a challenge. I think the strategic integration of technology, it's allowed us to be more efficient and open the possibilities of what we can and can't do, and to really focus in on the evidence that allows us to be comfortable as we treat patients and manage and those types of things. And so glad to see that. I would say in 10 years, it's possible that we incorporate technology so much that maybe we start to lose a little bit of the connection that we can have with our patients. And so there's been great strides to enhance efficiency, but usually what that means is we don't see our patients quite as often. And I think of my own story. If I wasn't seeing my orthodontist every month, I don't know that he would have had the impact that he ended up having on me to build that relationship. So my fear is that we become so efficient and leverage technology so much that we lose sight of what allows us to be really special. I was very fortunate to be contacted by you and others to join as an associate editor, essentially. So just right place, right time, right opportunity. And so it's been great. It provides a foundation in clinical orthodontics and tries to bring in evidence-based and best practices to really hone and support our clinicians as they go and do their day-to-day opportunities or activities. I think it's a great resource. A lot of people don't do what I do. They're not at academic. They're not in the literature and those things all the way all the time. And so I think the JCO is a nice middle ground. It's not a hard and fast, you know, really research rich and detailed source, but it's also grounded in enough evidence where people can look at it and gain the pearls and insights that they need to be efficient in what they do. So it's a reliable, I would say, a reliable resource and a wonderful pearl, no pun intended. I guess it was more business minded. And so some of the earlier literature that I remember reading as a resident was about the big surveys that the JCO would do that allowed you to see what was happening in different parts of the region. So as far as appliances and those types of things. And I've actually leveraged some of that information for some talks that I've given both nationally and internationally. And so on top of all the clinical stuff, which I think is wonderful, it's little things like that where, again, in most programs, it's not as robust as far as the business aspect. And so I remember reading that and really gaining information that allowed me to function actually very well as a program director and chair. I think the world is really leveraged on return on investment and those types of things. And so I think for what the JCO asks as far as subscription and those type of things, you get it back in spades. It's been, again, a wonderful resource. I've been very happy to be able to share it with my students here in the department. So I think it's wonderful that the JCO set things up for programs. But again, it's a great go-to. And with that subscription, I mean, there's such a rich library of information with clinicians some who are no longer even among the living, but they have done wonderful things for the profession and packaged and delivered it in this journal. And so it's a great resource for people. how difficult it could be to engage people. So we're trained very well for the technical part, the mechanics, the CEFs, all that stuff. But day in and day out, the part that is most challenging is trying to inspire people to accept treatment or better themselves or do the things that allow us to be successful. And so knowing that it would be that much of a challenge, maybe I would have had a minor in psychology or something else. Just have fun, but realize that we are in a great community. And so I've traveled quite a bit, and at times we become very siloed and very self-centered. It's just about me, my practice, my bottom line. But if you remember, you are, even if the person's across the street, that is your colleague, and so not necessarily a competitor. Use every second that you can to learn. The world is changing, and there's a lot of things that you need to pick up, and we can't train students to know everything. But if they can learn how to learn and how to continue to learn, then that's the greatest asset that they can have moving forward. Take the time to communicate. I think as we continue to treat patients who are living longer, so more seasoned, there's more things, more pitfalls that we can fall into that traditionally we just didn't see without CBCTs. And so do your due diligence, have systems in place where you don't overlook anything. Our world is different, so it's much more litigious. And so I never want to see a colleague in a bad situation. And if we do what we need to do on the front end, I think a lot of times that'll take care of itself.